Welcome to the Mike Litton Experience Podcast. Mike has over 31 years experience in real estate, finance, and investing. He's passionate about being a father, a teacher, a realtor, an investor, and a leader. Everyone has a story, and our passion is to help them tell it. And now, introducing the host of the Mike Litton Experience, Mike Litton.
So what can you expect from the Mike Litton Experience? You can expect stories that will inspire, motivate, advice that will sharpen your focus, and expert information on real estate, finance, and market conditions.
Contingency. I says, I understand that, but we're still going to do a physical inspection.
Right.
And he goes, let me get back to you. And so, of course, he doesn't call me back, right? What he does is he sends me an email that says, go ahead and do your inspection, right? Because the buyer may waive the contingency, but they don't waive their right to do the investigation of the property.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely
you still
not.
want to do that. And so,
And they should.
Yeah, I know he called his attorney, and his attorney said, oh yeah, don't mess with that. Let the buyer do the investigation of the property. And the buyer did. And the funny part was the seller ended up agreeing to do $20,000 worth of work. I think the seller wasn't aware that he only wanted non-contingent offers. Mm-hmm. So sometimes it happens where the message from the agent doesn't always come through in pure form.
Well, we actually talked about this yesterday. I interviewed a lender who does, and I'm super proud of him. He's doing seminars for realtors, and he's doing seminars for buyers. Okay. And part of the reason he's doing it is realtors need to hear how this stuff works. They need to hear why this is so important. And he literally talked about what you're talking about right now. And what he said, look, whether you have a contingency or you don't have a contingency, you still have a duty to investigate. And your job is to advise your client to do the investigation, right? So one of the examples that he uses is a property up in Northern California that had a well. It had septic and it had a well. Okay. And VA was going to require that they do a septic test and that they do a pump insert on the septic, and that they do a certification on the well, that it be tested and certified. Because the seller didn't want that done, the agent representing the buyer, right, what we call the selling agent came back and said, we're going to go with FHA because they're not going to require this. Okay, so they went with it. Turns out years later, the wife and the daughter have cancer.
Yeah.
They go back and they have the well tested, and it has levels of arsenic in the water that date back right to when they owned the property.
Yeah.
And these people are literally dying because of somebody wanted to cut a corner. Somebody wanted to take a shortcut because they wanted to get paid faster.
Right.
Okay. And they didn't want this deal to go sideways, because if they had found arsenic in the well water, not that the agent knew, but if they had found that, they wouldn't have ended up buying.
Right.
They would have had to go buy something else, and it would have taken longer for that agent to get paid. Yeah. And so he's literally, one of the things that he does in this seminar is he says, look, there's a down payment that's required on everything but VA loans, except for 100% conventional loans, right? But there's a down payment required on every loan except VA. Sure. And he literally says, let me show you what a down payment is. And he shows them a video of a C-130 with the cargo tail down. Yeah. And there's a number of Marines that are carrying a flag draped coffin off of that C-130. That is your down payment, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah. Okay. Big time. And it really rattles these people, and they need it. Kevin, they need it. They need to get woken up. They need to be shook so that they can get back to the place where it's not about making a fast buck. It's about taking the best care of your client you possibly can.
It can't be about the money. And when it is, you know, whenever I have a new agent come to me and they say, you know, I'm going to make $1 million my first year, and I'm just shaking my head going, you ain't going to make it, right? Because you can't do this because of the money. It's not it. I've worked for free a lot, right? I always tell people I give a lot to charity. I just like to pick my own charity, right? You know, that kind of thing. But you know, at the end of the day, the people that are in it for the money, and you said something a second ago, statistically, more than half of our licensees have had a license less than 5 years.
Yeah.
Statistically.
So they don't know any different market.
They don't know. They don't know what happened in 2003. They don't know what happened in 2005. You know, they don't know what happened in 2009. You know, the different things that were going on. And unfortunately, 60% of them haven't done a deal in a year, haven't done a transaction. And so it just amazes me. You know, I don't know. We always have you know, my wife and I always had, she's a broker, by the way. She was one of my best students, actually, you know, strangely enough. You know, we didn't get together till way after grades were out. I said, what did you get in school? She goes, I got an A. I said, did you earn it? She goes, you gave it to me. And I went, yeah, okay, all right. But it was months later. But, you know, we have that conversation back and forth about, you know, what your motivation levels are. I mean, you know, we're not motivated by money. We don't care. I love the smiling face, right? I love the kids and the people that just, you know, really appreciate your story. And you know what I'm saying, you know, because, you know, they really appreciate what you do. So what do you do? Do you work with somebody that, like me, that's been in the business for 44 years, or do you work with somebody that just got their license 6 months ago? It's kind of like the brain surgeon, right? You know, do I work with somebody who's using the stuff from 44 years ago, or do we work with someone who's got the brand new technique, that kind of thing? So I'm good with change. I mean, I love change, right? Every time they change the forms, you know, we lose a couple hundred people in San Diego get out of real estate, right? And we don't know you got out of it until 4 years later when your license renewal comes up. You know, in other states where I'm licensed, it's only 2 years, right? So we pretty much know you're gone, you know, fast. But it just amazes me that a little change like the form, and I'm getting ready to do my own little webinar or podcast, whatever you call it, on the new forms, because the new forms are coming out. You know, one of the forms they are not changing is the buyer representation agreement. They have no reason to touch it, even after the Burnett case. They have no reason to touch it. And so it's like, because they did a great job. I mean, I love the form. And so, but those are the kinds of things that you know, you need to be current. I'm going to be doing my own little thing. I'm going to break each paragraph down, and you know, if I don't, you know, blow everybody's mind, but I remember I was teaching a class at UCSD about 20 years ago, and I got stuck in a closet with a guy by the name of Barry Fish. I've never forgotten this guy. But UCSD said, you know these things so well. Will you dictate them to a video, an audio, not even a video, right? To an audio, so that the students can listen to them later. And so I sit in this closet. I joke about it, but I had this, you know, screen in front of me that had the form, and I'm talking about, you know, why, where, when to use it, things like that, right? And so this is 20 years ago, and here's Barry over here looking he's looking at the wall, his wall, and he's got this big monitor with this little sine wave going on. So every time I said something, it would you know, move around. And so he was taping everything. Again, that was when audio was big. And so CAR got a hold of it, and they go, that's really cool. We're going to go ahead and we're going to create a program called Forms Advisor and Forms Tutor. And this is like, real estate agents, get a clue. Forms Advisor tells you, it came out of that closet, so to speak. But, you know, Forms Advisor tells you, you know, it asks you a series of questions, which is what we've got to get good at, right? We got to start asking questions. And then it tells you, based on your answers, you know, that's AI, right? That's your artificial intelligence. And it tells you what forms to use. And then Forms Tutor comes along and tells you how to fill them out. I just think it's brilliant. I mean, it's just really brilliant. And so, and we have these resources available to us, and people never use it. I do talks, and I say, have you ever used Forms Advisor, Forms Tutor? And they go, what's that? And I go, yeah, okay. You know, I mean, you know, but we have these things, and it's like, you know, you should be excited. Where when I got started, we had blue books, right? You would go through the books, and you had, what, 8 to a page, and it was newspaper print, and you'd set up appointments for people to show property. Your hands are just black with ink, right? And then they wouldn't, and then they didn't show up. I mean, you're issuing warrants. You know, you got a hitman going out. It's like, what do you mean you didn't show up? Today, I think a lot of it's too easy. But at the same time, I think that we can do things faster today, but we also have to be good at what we do. And I think that's the part that a lot of people miss, is that you really have to be good at what you do, be the source of the source, not the source, right? So you said it, in a different way just a few minutes ago. It's like, I'll find out and then I'll send you there, right? So, 755-9313. People say, what's that? I say, that's City of Del Mar Planning and Zoning, right? Call them up and see if you can build a 2-story house there, right? Because they're going to tell you. Okay. So, but they say, how do you remember all these numbers? I said, well, I don't know. It's a number I call pretty frequently. So, it's a good thing. But our job is to be professional. And when I'm in court, the plaintiff's counsel loves to put, in 10-inch letters up on the PowerPoint for the jury to see the professional, because now they're trying to pick at the professional and trying to, prove that they weren't so professional. But I don't know why I don't always have that conversation in a listing appointment, right? Why don't they think I'm a professional then? For me, it's a little bit different. I think they know that by the time I get there, that they're probably, it's over, they're going to be fine. But we got to get good at what we do. And it's not, I have to agree with a gal I was talking to the other day. It says that we really shouldn't be labeled as salespersons, even though we are. Her statement was we really should label them as facilitators. Some states do, by the way. Some states don't call them real estate agents. Some states don't have salesperson's licenses. They only have broker's license. Utah, you don't get a sales, you got a broker, right? West Virginia, I'm getting a broker's license there. You have to be a broker associate in West Virginia unless you've lived there for the last 7 years, and then you can be a broker. It's just amazing the different things, but those are all safeguards that are built in to try to protect the community, which is, I think, paramount for all of us. It really should be.
We should be the protectors of the community.
Yeah.
Really.
I'm thankful that I don't know a whole lot of people get up in the morning and say, I can't wait to see who I'm going to stick today, that kind of thing. So, but I'm sure there are people like that. I'm usually trying to defend them in some way, but some cases I just don't take. I
don't blame you. Yeah. To me, it comes down to your priorities. Yeah. And it comes down to, and this conversation we had yesterday was literally about protecting the consumer. And and you got to, you mentioned the $77,000 condo. I got a call from a gal several years ago now, but I got a call from her and she said, I'm wondering if you can help me. And I said, sure, I'll be happy to help you. And she said, well, don't you want to know how much the purchase price is or the list price is? I said, no, I don't care anything about that. How can I help you? Right. And it was a condo in Escondido that was on the market for $80,000, a little 1-bedroom, 1-bath. In a rough area. Okay.
Midway.
And she's a single gal. Right. And so we had a conversation about, are you sure this is an area you want to move to? I understand the payment's less here than it is down the street, for the one that's $120,000, but this is a rough area. I don't know if this is necessarily somewhere you want to live. Right. And so we had a conversation about, are you sure? Okay. And really what it boiled down to was, we got her some information on what the crime rates were in those areas. Okay. And I had her call the police department. I had her talk with somebody that I knew, and she had a conversation with them. And afterwards she was good. Okay. And so we end up putting in the offer. We end up getting her the condo. She closes on the condo. We maybe 4 weeks later, I get a phone call out of the blue from this gentleman. And he says, you don't know me, but I'm her dad.
Oh, wow.
And I just wanted to call and thank you because I'm on the East Coast running a Fortune 500 company. Okay. Wow. He said, I just wanted to call and thank you for helping my little girl because I don't know anything about real estate. I don't know anything about California real estate. And I certainly don't know anything about real estate in Escondido. Right. And he goes, I know she bought a place in a rough area. And he goes, I cannot thank you enough for taking the time and the extra effort and the diligence to put her in touch with somebody that could talk to her about crime and talk to her about safety and talk to her about that area in particular, right? And, that's the kind of thing that I've always encouraged people in our industry to do. It's not about the zeros. It's not about the numbers. It's about the people. It's about because that person that calls you, male, female, whatever, that's somebody's son. That's somebody's grandson. That's somebody's daughter. That's somebody's granddaughter. You know what I mean? That's somebody's niece or nephew. That's the way you want to look at this. You want to look at this in terms of, I know a whole lot more than most people do about real estate. I know more than most people do in our industry about real estate. because of the dirt that I've chewed and the experience that I've had and the things that I've done. It doesn't make me better. It just makes me better qualified to be able to sit and have a conversation with them. And my frame of reference is, I got into this business because I got turned down for a home loan. Okay. And the very first home loan I ever got approved, Kevin, was the first month I was in the business. And that loan had been turned down by 8 different lenders. And if we hadn't gotten that thing approved when we did, those people would have lost their dream home they were building in Fallbrook to foreclosure. Okay. Wow. When I called them to let them know that their loan was approved, they both were on the phone and they were crying. They couldn't even talk.
Wow.
You can't put a price tag on that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's no way. And so the thing that I want people to understand is it's about the people. It's not about, like, one of my least favorite things that I hear all the time is, here's the real estate hack. Here's the way to hack this. And here's the way to hack. You know what? We're not in a hacking business. We're in a business of making dreams come true. And we're in a business of protecting people.
Right.
It's that simple.
Yeah, no, I'm with you 100%. I always tell people, I say, okay, well, let's forget about the money for a minute. Realize that for every deal that you do, there are 3, right? And if you think about it that way, because then they have the other people coming in, and the people every opportunity that you have like that is a customer relationship opportunity. Are you taking good care of that person? Because they're going to tell other people. Now, if you're just in, make the money quick and get out, then, and what is it? 88% of the people, the NAR ran a National Association of Realtors ran a survey, and they interviewed people that had, why didn't you use the realtor that you used to purchase the home to sell your home? And 88% of them says, we don't know who they are. We don't remember them, never heard from them again. And so, and I talked to real estate agents. Well, why didn't you just call them up and say, hi, how you doing? How's the house going? Well, because they were really angry, right? The furnace wasn't working or something like that. And so you like took it personal. Well, you can't take it personal. You are there to help them. So it's not about you. It's about, helping them with stuff. And so, but you never called them back. I mean, it just amazes me. I sold a house to a guy, and I'm guilty, right? Sold a house to a guy in Tucson. His name was Robert Franklin Shield. And so I don't know if you may not be old enough to remember the Judge Wapner. Remember that? Judge Wapner?
Yeah, People's Court.
yeah. He was the other guy. This was the other judge. And so I remember that he was an actor, right? And he was good. And I'll never forget, because, at that point, that location, you would have your title and escrow were the same company. And so we would all meet in the room, the buyer would come in, the seller would come in, all the guns are checked at the door, right? This is Tucson, Arizona. So everybody's packing. And so, we check the guns at the door, the seller finishes all their stuff. They leave, and the buyer's in there, and he looks at his loan document. It's just me and him and his wife, lovely wife, and the escrow, Pat Cochran. I've never forgotten her. And he just goes off, and it's like, what's wrong? He says, the interest rates went up 0.5 point. Now I don't do loans, right? I mean, I teach real estate finance at the college level, but I wouldn't do a loan on a dare. I mean, that's for professionals to do the professional job on a loan. Escrow does escrow, title does title, lender does loans, that kind of thing. I'm just the orchestrator of the whole thing. And so he's going off on this 0.5 point thing, and he says, and he signs all the papers, and she signs everything. He slams the pen down. He storms out of the room. I was crushed. I mean, I had spent so much time with this guy, and I thought we were like really close, and he just goes right off in the room. And so Pat turns to me, she goes, he's a pretty good actor, isn't he? And you know what? I felt bad for myself at that point, because I felt like I'd been had, right? I'd only been in the business a couple of years, and I hadn't had that experience where somebody who's a professional actor, and he did a great job. He didn't care. He called me for months, can you come over and have dinner with us and all these kinds of things, because we were really good friends. And I felt so bad about how he made me feel, rather than thinking more about how he felt. And I really needed to do that. And to this day, I regret that I did not do that. I turned my whole life around after that. And so, I stay in communication with clients and stuff like that. I assure you, most of my clients remember me. I'm not among the 88%. So I don't know if I'm charming or what, but I love my clients. I don't know. You've had that same experience.
Yeah. So NAR did a study. I just worked with a client the other day that I've had for 26 years.
Yeah.
Right. And NAR did another study, and they literally surveyed people that had closed escrow, and they said, would you use the realtor that represented you on the purchase, right? And they said 88% of them said yes.
Yeah.
15% of them actually used him. And they said,
Yeah.
why the difference? And they said, because they didn't stay in touch with us.
Yeah.
They just dropped off the face of the earth after we closed.
Yeah. What a shame. It creates, it's, buying and selling a home, Mike, and you know what I'm saying. It's a stressful event. It's tense. Try court. It's tense for everybody, right? Except for the actors, the lawyers. But it's a tense event, so you have to understand that people's emotions are running high. You need to be there for that. Not blowing it off. And so, I have this pet peeve about disclosures in California. We get we're the buyer's agent. We get disclosures. We give them to the transaction coordinator and have the transaction coordinator send them to the buyer to sign. That is wrong on a number of levels, right? So, what?
We hope you enjoyed another episode of the Mike Litton Experience. If you did, do us a favor, smash that subscribe button, tell your friends, family, and coworkers about our program, and wherever you get your podcasts, please leave us a rating. It helps us to connect with quality people just like you.
And that's a wrap. Another episode of the Mike Litton Experience in the books. Reach out to Mike on Instagram at Litton Realty. Want to meet with Mike? Check out calendly.com/Rio760.